Welcome to Empower Connect, a podcast of personal stories on forgiveness to encourage you to embrace lessons contributing to your growth in life, to bring inner peace by self-acceptance and self-love. I am your host, Carolyn McLean. I am a forgiveness life coach to help women that have been hurt by their parents learn to forgive in order to grow and connect to God, themselves, and others. Today, I want to continue talking about how to love yourself unconditionally, along with some steps to take to start loving yourself. Last time, I talked about ways we looked at ourselves in the mirror and cannot stand what we see. Looking at our inner self, the one we do not want others to see. I talked about loving yourself through the definition of love from the Bible to know how we should love ourselves. There are two things that happen when we do not love ourselves. We kill our hope and we kill our growth. Now that I have discussed the reason we give to not love ourselves, let's look at some reasons to love ourselves. When connecting to our inner self, we realize that our life is not based on titles, roles, or achievement. Our true identity is something deeper and more eternal than your changeable circumstances. You are fundamentally divine, beautiful, worthy, and deserving. No matter what is going on in your world, it is time to connect to your inner self. Inner self connection is about being tuned in with what you are feeling and thinking. It is about self-discovery to see yourself clearly. Even when we do not always like what we see, getting to know ourselves brings comfort. It sparks unconditionally self-love and personal improvement. It is our inner world that determines whether we are having a good day or not, whether we are happy or unhappy. That's why we can feel angry despite beautiful surroundings and feel happy despite being stuck in traffic. We only have to do one thing to be happy. Change the way we look at our lives. Regardless of where you are on the spectrum of happiness, each of us has our own way of defining happiness. What is your definition of happiness? What does happiness mean to you? Happiness with yourself is accepting who you are, including your flaws, learning from your mistakes. I had to learn to love myself by realizing that we all have storms that we are dealing with. By me feeling abandoned, I worried about what others thought about me. I would change my nature. I would change my behavior to fit in, just to please others and to be accepted. Being worried about what others thought made me fearful to step out on faith. My focus was being accepted by others, which caused my self-esteem to be damaged. I found out that my self-esteem should not have been based on the reactions of others. What others thought of me was none of my business. I had no control of how others thought of me. What I have is to be authentic in who God created me to be and shift my focus on trying to be accepted by others. Because you see, I was already accepted by Jesus. So if you feel this way, it is time to shift your focus from trying to be accepted and start being authentic. When we cultivate genuineness, regardless of the reaction of others, we know that we are being true to ourselves. So choose authentic. Here are some of the ways that helped me to start living myself again. Number 1, keeping a journal. I love keeping journals because that way I can write all my thoughts down, the good, the bad, the ugly, the happy, the sad. All of my emotions, I can just write them out. Journaling is a good way to write down your feelings. One journal activity is to think of things that makes you feel at home. Feeling at home is part of our self-definition because this is the place where we can really be ourselves. This will help us understand what makes us feel like we are at home and what is important to us. So write down all your feelings and thoughts. Write down things that bothers you, things that makes you feel good. In one of the journals that I created, I focus on steps to move forward, things you need to let go, what you are grateful for, and reflection of the day. You can visit my website to order this journal. Everyday happiness is easily lost in our hectic lives, but we can change it by thinking about the things that makes us happy. So be honest to get to know your internal self. Give the most important of what you think about yourself rather than what others think of you, and start living the truth. Only when honesty about who we are meets our willingness to change, the deepest path to personal self-growth open up. Let me say that again. Only when honesty about who we are meets the willingness to change, the deepest path to self-love opens up. Number 2, I had to learn to forgive myself. You must forgive yourself. Forgive yourself to move forward. Forgive yourself will lower stress and anger within your inner self. It takes courage to forgive yourself to move forward. You are doing your best given the circumstances you are in at the moment. Do not blame yourself. The day you know how to do better, you will do better. You have to learn to empathize with your inner self for yourself. Our inner voice can be a critical and demanding taskmaster. Treat yourself with the same respect that you treat a loved one. I had to forgive myself and start being kind and gentle with myself. I had to encourage and celebrate my better moments. Number 3, respect your uniqueness and drop the comparison. We cause ourselves so much pain and suffering when we restrain our true nature and ignore our burning desires and dreams just for the sake of fitting in with the status quo or meeting the expectation of others. You are not created to be someone else. You are created to be you. Allowing yourself to show up, to live as an authentic self is one of the most empowering things you can do. It can profoundly enrich your relationship with yourself. Number 4, Practice gratitude for yourself. Instead of focusing on what you perceive to be wrong with you, focus on the amazing things you have to offer. Energy flows where attention goes. So the more you shift your perception towards your positive attitudes, the more of them you will uncover. This took some time, but I practiced grateful affirmations so that I can notice the things that I was good at. The more I focused on what I could do, eventually my thoughts changed to what I could do and not what I have failed at. Number 5, it is okay not to be perfect. There's a common myth in our society that there is a such thing as perfect, and we should all strive to be it. Guess what? No one is perfect, and no one is supposed to be. The truth is we are all human, flawed, and prone to making mistakes as we navigate the world to learn, to forgive, to connect, and to grow from our experience. I understand that I am not perfect and I will make mistakes, and that's okay. According to the Bible, perfect means mature. So it's okay to continue to grow. Number 6, be your own best friend. Stop bullying yourself. Stop bullying yourself. Self-bullying arises from the lack of comparison, the lack of compassion, and kindness towards oneself. Replace the negative self-talk with kind words. Practice talking to yourself as if you was talking to your best friend. Remember, everyone has weakness. Looking at my weakness was hard, but it helped me realize that I am not perfect. Yes, everyone has weakness. My weakness is also makes up my uniqueness. Number 7, setting boundaries. We all have obligations and responsibilities that we need to take care of, but still, we can set healthy boundaries for ourselves. Start by identifying what activities and people that are draining your energy. Then ask yourself, how can you eliminate or at least reduce each energy drainer? This often requires talking about your boundaries with others. Be sure to explain how you feel and why it's important to you that your boundaries are respected. In the end, this is about being clear with yourself and with others about your boundaries. By doing it, you have to be able to slow down and have more time for what matters to you. Loving yourself. Number 8, you are not alone. You are not the only one who feels vulnerable, insecure, and self-critical at times. We are all fighting our own demons and trying to do our best. By remembering your common humility, you immediately takes the pressure off yourself and no longer feel so isolated and alone. And remember, you do not have to do it alone. It is okay to ask for help when you need it, even professional help is a good thing when it comes to your mental health. You do not have to do this alone. Let me say it again. You do not have to do this alone. Just ask for help. These are the steps to take to love yourself unconditionally. so that you can take the mask off to become who you want to be. You can love yourself unconditionally. Remember, unconditionally, according to Webster, means with no limits in any way, without restrictions by conditions or quality. No limits. It is time for you to take the limits and expectations off yourself. There is always a blessing in your storm. Loving yourself starts and ends with mindful of the now. The more you feed your mind with positive, the more you learn to love yourself. So start speaking to yourself. I love myself unconditionally, even my flaws. In Jeremiah 29:11, it says, "For I know the plans and thoughts that I have for you, says the Lord. Plans for peace and well-being and not for disaster, to give you a future, a hope." So you see, God has a purpose for your pain, a reason for your struggle, and a reward for your faithfulness. So trust Him and never give up. Just envision a life where you are no longer bound by your limitations and false belief system, but rather you empowered by the truth, your truth. It is time to be truly happy and free by being connected to your true self and knowing and living your truth. This means being aware of your true essence, your personality, inborn traits, motivations, desires, tendency, patterns, habits, interests, likes, strengths, as well as weakness, fears, limitation, inner pain, and inner demon. It is being connected to your truth that frees you from your own limitations and allow you to love yourself unconditionally. Thank you for tuning in today. I deeply appreciate it. I hope this podcast has been a blessing and encouragement to you. Please subscribe to this podcast. That way you will never miss an episode. Also, feel free to share with others. You can connect to me by visiting my website at www.curlingcoaching.com. And remember this, you may get knocked down, but you are not out. Get up. This is not the end of your story. Just get up and turn the page and start a new chapter, because your story is not over. Thank you, and God bless.